Thank you so much, Department of Music. Now we have our guest speaker coming on board to grace the podium. He is a lecturer at the Department of Computer Science and the co-founder of Cyber Pass Consult, specializing in cyber security and machine learning. He obtained his doctoral and master's degrees in computer science and technology in 2019 and 2016, respectively. His research extends to developing innovative technologies that harness the power of cybersecurity and machine learning to address critical challenges as cyber attack detection, equal access to healthcare and education. Heading a virtual research lab, his research is also into secure AI for sustainable solutions with the ultimate goal of deploying secure machine learning models that positively impact human life. Its ongoing efforts have led to more than 20 research articles published in high-impact journals, successful supervision of 1 PhD candidate, 5 MPhil candidates, 7 MSc students, and more than 40 final year undergraduate projects. He currently serves as the PI for the SciTalk project. The outcome of the SciTalk project will be a secure deep learning model that will enhance doctor-to-patient conversations in Ghana. As an advocate for building human capacity, he has provided hands-on training programs for IT professionals in public and private institutions. His efforts have impacted more than 300 IT professionals nationwide. Within the academic community, he serves as the guest editor for 2 special issues on security and reliability in future intelligent mobile communication, computer communications, Elsevier, and special issues on frontiers in Cyber Security Journal of Systems Architecture. Elsevier, he served as the program committee chair for the International Conference on Frontiers in Cyber Security. He's a reviewer at several high-impact journals, including the IEE Internet of Things, IEE Systems Journal, IEEE Transactions on Computer, IEEE Access Computers and Electrical Engineering, KSI Transactions on Internet and Information Systems, and has received awards as an outstanding reviewer from reputable journals such as the KSSI Transactions on Internet and Information System 2020 and Computers and Electrical Engineering 2017. He is a member of the IEE GSA and the KNUST Young Researchers Forum, demonstrating his commitment to continuous learning and collaboration within the academic community. He has given talks at international and local conferences on cybersecurity and AI in several Asian and African countries. With a resounding round of applause, please help me welcome Dr. Emmanuel Ahene. Please, a round of applause to him.
Thank you very much for the introduction. And I'm very, very happy to be at UEW. It's my first time being here, and I think it's a nice place. Yeah. So I love the arts and dance. It's a beautiful thing. I just see young people who are passionate about doing what they love with smiles all over their face. Maybe we give a round of applause to those who do the arts. Yeah. So I'll just go ahead and talk about the subject for today. But I must say that Professor Ampere has done a very, very good job to the subject matter, and that's really good. I love the part where he talks about people having difficulty identifying even some key characters on the keyboard. The A Wahane thing really got me laughing. Yeah. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and Prof. Chair, distinguished guest invited here, deans, heads of departments, and the invited keynote speaker, the former Vice Chancellor of University of Cape Coast, Professor Ampere, colleagues and students, ladies and gentlemen. I duly say that I honor your presence being here to listen and engage in this conversation on digital transformation. So it's an honor to address you today on this subject that is crucial to the future of education and research in our country. Digital transformation, as the world progresses into the fourth industrial revolution, the integration of technologies into our educational systems is no longer a choice, but it is a necessity. Now, if you pay close attention to the demands of the industry, you realize that it has changed completely. And also, the demands of customers of the industry have also changed. There is a whole global agenda on digitalization, and things are transforming quite quickly. The point for us as educators is that in every university or in every education institution, our finest product are our students, our graduates. So we must think thoroughly and, if you like, implement actions regarding the process of birthing, or if you like, giving out the product that we give to the industry. We cannot process the product that is unusual or unuseful for the industry. We must process so that the products we give to the industry are very useful for the industry. So there is always a lot of conversation on the internet and on the web and everywhere in the country about the wide gap between the industry and then the academia. So usually we tend to fight ourselves without meeting each other. So you hear the industry people talking on the radio, well, you know, like, and then, you know, the professors are not inventing anything. Have you heard something like that before? Yeah. And then whatever they teach, and the latest one is DX, DY, no cry. Okay, so then the academicians will also go back to the same radio stations and other stuff and say, you guys, you don't understand our role. You know, we are educators, we are supposed to, you know, so two people are fighting without really meeting each other, and it's a big problem. But I believe that the institutions must take a big step, and the bigger step we have to take is to now take a critical look at the kind of education we are giving the students, because the industry is our first customer, you see. So every time the customer is right, isn't it? So when you are giving products to the industry, you want to really make sure that the products you are giving to the industry are up to standard, and then they can fit. Usually the companies would have to spend a lot of money to train, retrain the people that we give out, and that's why they complain. And so we have to really, as educators, look at the way we train people, and then also look at how we can invite those people we've been fighting with to come into the training, so that together we can shape the product for the industry. And then we are doing this in a very intentional manner, trying to inculcate technology in the process of building the product that we have. So it's quite important a subject, and today I will be delving deeper into these concepts of digital transformation and how that can enhance education and research outcomes. And I'll give you some insights from global experiences, and then I'll look at how that can tailor into our local solutions here in Ghana. So first, let's look at the global landscape of digital transformation. So around the world, fundamentally, there is a reshaping going on in terms of education. There is great innovation going on. Countries like Finland, Estonia, South Korea have demonstrated the significant gains that can be achieved through strategic investments in digital infrastructure, teacher training, and supportive policies. I'll give you an example. Like in Finland, about 95% of schools have integrated digital tools into their teaching practices as part of a comprehensive national digital strategy. with over 80% of teachers receiving specialized training in digital education. Now I'll give you another example. Now, as I say all these things, try to come back home and compare to what we have and see whether there is something for us to do as a people. Estonia. In Estonia, they have developed an e-school system, and that is an online platform that connects students, teachers, and then parents. And it is used by over 95% of schools, and that actually has demonstrated the country's commitment to leveraging technology to enhance education. Also in Korea, there is strong emphasis on e-learning and digital textbooks, and these are supported by high internet speed and infrastructure, and that actually has made Korea one of the leading countries in terms of digital education. And most people in Korea in remote areas are benefiting from these e-learning platforms and academic digital textbooks. Now, let's come back home in our country. Despite the successes of digital transformation that comes with, there is significant challenges that we face in our country, despite the successes that comes along with digital transformation. Especially in our country, we have barriers like limited access to high-speed internet. Okay, so if you look at the records, it's even better these days. The speed is better these days. I think Prof made a referral to a point about someone opening, let's say even Google on their page, and I have to go to town and come back. So these days, things are getting better. Internet speed is going up. Also, there is internet connectivity, all right? So we are having more and more communities get connected, and we are having more and more communities getting mobile phone devices. So things are actually changing. If you look at the statistics, you would see that every year on, Ghana increases averagely about 60% in terms of mobile device connection, as in cellular connections, and then internet usage. So it's a precursor to tell us that things are not the same. Although we have limited access to high-speed internet, we are getting more and more people coming on the internet and using digital devices. Again, there is high cost of digital devices, and there is insufficient digital literacy among educators themselves, and that hinders the ability to fully capitalize on the potential of digital transformation. And this is a very key thing. When the educator himself or herself lacks the skill, then it will be absolutely difficult for him or her to empower any student at all. And this is something we must take very seriously. Now, these challenges actually are not only unique to Ghana. If you look at some countries, a very popular country like United Kingdom, for instance, they have about 10 million EdTech strategy that they launched in 2019. But until now, the government continues to face challenges in ensuring equitable access to digital resources across all regions. So why do I bring in this comparison? The point I want to make is that the challenges cannot all be erased. We can minimize them, we can mitigate them, but the fact that there are challenges does not mean that we should not start it, we should not progress, and we should not achieve it. So we cannot wait doing nothing, just thinking that we have these challenges, but we must ensure that we start up something, and eventually, as the statistics shows, the challenges may die off gradually. So given these challenges, how can we, as a country, overcome the obstacles and ensure digital transformation leads to impactful education and innovative research? Now, I'll give you an example of what the African Union is doing. So the African Union has what they call the AU Agenda 2030. And that is an agenda for digital transformation. And this is what they say. They suggest 3 important factors. They say it's important for every African country to build strong digital infrastructure. Okay, so that is ensure you have more internet connectivity, build digital platforms, and then digital financial services. Number 2, they suggest that every country should try to foster digital skills. In other words, they should invest in digital literacy and support digital entrepreneurs. The last thing they stress on is there must be a conducive environment that the governments of every participation nation in the AU to create. The government should create a conducive digital environment to ensure that there is a favorable policy for those who would come up with digital technologies for education. Now, based on these three things, or if you like, roadmaps, I propose some 4 key things that I believe if education systems in our country and all key stakeholders are following, we can ensure that we have a very impactful education and then innovative research using digital technologies. So the first thing I am proposing is called the community-based digital learning hubs. Community-based digital learning hubs. Now, looking at the challenges we have as a country in terms of connectivity, it is very important that we look at those underserved communities where people lack access to technology. And then, just like we used to do in the olden days, there is a community library. Okay, so you can go to the community library and go and read books that you never paid for. So we need to start thinking about creating community digital hubs in remote or underserved communities. And this must start from us or with us. So that we cannot always wait for the government. This is an avenue where private companies can really take up. Okay, so you don't always have to wait for government because it eventually may happen that you will not see it. So private companies may take these things up. The communities are there. You have to just know how to have stakeholder engagements done. And then we need to take digital literacy into the community. So make available computers within that hub, make available internet connection using lower Earth orbit satellites like the Starlinks that we talked about. So you don't always have to have a cellular tower somewhere, but you could use satellite dishes to still bring internet to the communities. So it's some idea I'm throwing out to the public that if we look at how we can bring internet, we can bring technology devices into these communities, we can really ensure that we improve digital literacy. Again, you would put people who are knowledgeable in digital concepts in those particular facilities to train kids who would come there periodically and acquire skills. And this will have a great impact, and it can reduce the digital divide, enabling equal access to digital literacy and education regardless of the socioeconomic background. There is an example to follow. For instance, in India, India launched what they call the Digital India program in 2015, and that led to the creation of over 500,000 common service centers, what I call the digital hubs, and they provide digital access to rural areas. And as of 2020, there's been about over 1 billion of such numbers going through transformative impact initiatives. All right. Now, the second thing I am proposing is called the localized digital content creation. Now, what I mean by this is that we have other digital tools, and you probably know about them. Prof has talked about these AI tools, ChatGPT, and then I think he mentioned at a point Coursera, there is EDX, and all of that. All these learning platforms are not ours, practically speaking. And I think we have to come to a point or realization that we need to do something for ourselves as a people. We cannot always rely on foreign stuff. I mean, besides, our curriculum may not be exactly the same as theirs. And so when you are getting or encouraging people to go to these platforms, they are not actually following your curriculum and your content. So we should now begin to think about creating local content digitally on platforms where people can access everywhere. So what I mean by that is that as a teacher, you probably know the curriculum of your country, or of, let's say, the basic education level, the junior high school or the university. So let's build a platform where you actually teach these contents there. And when the contents are available, students anywhere from everywhere can access, and they are sure they are following the right path, and it can enhance their performance in their education. So we need to look at that and begin to create local digital content for our own people. And that would be used by our local educators to help train our students so that we are following a very good pattern. There is an example again in Indonesia. They have the platform they call the Ruang Guru platform, and that is purely local, local curriculum, and to some extent local content. Now, another thing I'm suggesting in this approach is that when we are coming up with this local content system, we can have lessons that adapt a hybrid language approach. So for instance, you are teaching mathematics, the concepts are very difficult, and you're explaining them in English context. Now the student has a challenge of even understanding what you are saying in English. Can we mix up P or the student's local language at a point to stress on a fact to improve the student's understanding? It is possible. Now several other countries do this, especially in China and other countries. Whenever there is a possible explanation of a particular subject, if it is difficult to understand in a foreign language, you add on your local language to enhance the understanding of the student in the concept. So it's something we need to think about as a country. And these things you will not get on Coursera, and you will not get on EDX. Until we start creating our own, we will always be meeting at conferences and talking about digital transformation for wherever time, and nothing would happen. So I charge you all to look at this as an opportunity. Let's come together as educators. From UEW, we can start this. Can we create local content? Can we build a strong learning platform? And I think it would be a great thing if it is coming from UEW, because we know your university is the university that empowers teachers a lot. So the third thing I'm proposing is called Teacher Digital Competency Development Programs. Now, gone are the days where we would ask only students to go for internships. These days, it is good that even faculty members find internships. Faculty members must go for internships and then get industrial knowledge, and that will help them to be able to teach very, very well in their classrooms. We must all understand. I'm a lecturer, and I know most of you here are lecturers and teachers. We must understand that there are certain things you need a practical exposure and view to it. And so it is important for you to go into the industry sometimes just to change your perspectives. And you would realize that when you come to the classroom, you explain things very well from a basic concept or approach that will really help the students. Sometimes, because we lack these things, our explanation of concepts becomes very abstract, and the students don't get it. So we are not able to create students who are skillful in even creating other things, who are meeting the needs of the industry. And that's a problem. And it's high time as a country we start to change our approach. Let us get industrial training as faculty members and equip our skills. Other things we can do within this same competency view is, for instance, I'm a lecturer. If I am developing my course description or curriculum or topics or whatever I'll do in the semester, rarely would you find that a lecturer has included a time or session for industry speaker. So it's only you, the lecturer. You teach from beginning of the sem to the end of the sem. Do you think that it is possible for you to, at a point in the period of your classes, invite an expert from the industry to engage the students even over Zoom? Okay, so then you are using the digital platforms, even over Zoom, to talk about some important subjects. For example, in the US, if students are learning about quantum computing, they don't just do it all along in the class. Okay, so you talk about quantum computing and it's so abstract, they need to see the quantum computer, how it is like. You see, so if I am teaching quantum computers in class, well, We don't have one in Ghana, but we have a video of quantum computers on YouTube. So I would open it, show students, this is a quantum computer, and this is the approach of building a quantum computer. If I'm favorable to have a Ghanaian or a foreigner who is at it, working and developing quantum computers, it would be nice to invite the person and let the person speak over the internet, show the students the practical view of the system, and then you actually build on the engagement, interest, and passion of the students. I'll tell you something. One of the things that the foreign countries use to beat us a lot is that the students, they cause them to achieve passion. So you would see most of the tech giants, you know that Microsoft dropped out of school. It's passion. One strong passion can kick them out of the school, because now when they have the passion for doing that technological thing, at a point they feel like there is time wasting even in the education thing, and they have to move on to do it. Okay, so we need to build strong passion in the students. And the passion for doing something will be strongly built based on the things they are seeing, the things they are exposed to, and then you would get them starting to do something. I always say that as a country, we must begin to develop things. We should not only be at the level of using applications. Otherwise, I'm sorry, after some years, we would be laid back. So it's very, very important we look at this as a country. Let us relate, call the industry in, and then work with them. So in KNUST, since 2021, I have always been engaging the industry, and then I do cybersecurity trainings with them. And usually the feedback is positive. People get a lot of experience, and they are well equipped. So let us look at these kinds of competency development approach to enhance our skills in delivering content. The last thing I'll propose is encouraging local innovation and research. Here, I must talk about it because I'm a very passionate person about homegrown solutions. So Prof talked a lot about artificial intelligence, and at a point I was about to say he's a computer scientist. So he talked about it so well, you see. But homegrown solutions are now coming up. For instance, in KNUST, some of my third-year students doing mini projects are doing fun things like this same ChatGPT, making it, let's say, ChatGPT, let me call it that way. So most importantly, what they are doing is that they are calling on the LLM, the large language model of ChatGPT, and then they are calling on other models that does translation. And so what they do is that you can type in your Tree language, your Ga, any language, into the Tree ChatGPT thing, and then get the prompt back to you in Tree. And then get the prompt back to you rendered in audio. So you can speak Tree to this system, the system would take it, and then give you feedback in Tree. Isn't it a great thing? Yeah, I thought you were clapping well. So the more you do this, the more you are contextualizing, localizing, bringing it to your own people. So you are making sure that ChatGPT, with all its enormous benefits, people who cannot speak good English can at least speak in their local language and then have feedback in that. And the process is pretty simple. Whatever you say in Tree, if you say it, it will be extracted as text. The text is given to the LLM of ChatGPT. Then the feedback comes back in text, and then that text is again translated into local language and then given to you as speech. And that's really working. I mean, a lot of the young guys are working on this, and it's a lot of things. It's a lot of fun to see how these technologies are. So at a point, you may not be able to reinvent the wheel, but you can think about creating the local technologies out of what exists so that people can get benefits of that. There is also that point where we need to get to where we actually build our own also from somewhere. Because sometimes the challenge is that when you are building it, it will not look exceptionally the same as what exists. But we must appreciate that we need to start from somewhere before we can compete globally with others. So we must all be encouraged as a people to foster local innovation and develop homegrown solutions. We must desist from discouraging students from inventing. Mostly we discourage students from inventing. If a student wants to invent something, you say, oh, but why do you have to waste time to do it? Just get parts from China. Don't we say that? Yeah, so you don't discourage students like that. Leave them, let them be very creative. Let them start to build things. The many mistakes they make, they will learn from it. And very soon we can have tech giants and very powerful developers in our country creating a lot of stuff. Again, other things we can do to encourage innovation is to give the students exposure or connect them to the industry and connect them to the media. So when I joined KNUST, there is something I started doing, and that is every final year project of the students. The students do a lot of wonderful projects, but nobody gets to hear that. And you go to the industry, and as I said, people complain a lot. What is going on in the university, blah, 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 like that. So I called in the media, Joy News, and all of that, and I said, come here. These are 10 great projects of final year students. Put them out there in the media. And so they did that. Now, years on, I had a call from the top television, a very top television company in the world. It is the second top television company in the world. It's called TV Mundo. You can check it up later. They came to Ghana, and then they said, we want to interview the students who did this project A, B, C, D. And then I linked the student up. Again, I wasn't even there. It's still the student. You are giving them exposure. The student went, did the interview, and very soon this interview will be live on that television. And what do you think will happen with such an output? You're going to attract investors, and you're going to start building technologies. Let us start to do these things. Let us start to do these things, encourage innovation, and push our students. Another thing we can do is to mentor our students in this digital field. Let us mentor them, train them. Again, in KNUST, I pick up from second year, I teach them programming language, so I pick up the best students in second year who are interested to reshape their skills and try developing industrial applications. And then I mentor them. By the time they get into final year, they are well skilled and they have already built products. And that is even more than 5 years CV if you are going into the industry. Yeah. So great things are happening, but it takes one step at a time, and we need to all get involved as educators. We need to all get involved impacting the lives of people through proper education. We need to change our process of teaching. Let's be open to the students. Those days, I would not even be able to approach my teacher. Your teacher is always right, and you can't question your teacher in class. You're afraid. Before you even approach your teacher, you're afraid. These things have passed. These things have passed. Be open to the students. Some students are very brilliant. And if you are opening up to them, they would come to you, and with them, together with them, you can build wonderful technologies. So the argument that professors are not building anything becomes false, because if you look even at the advanced countries, professors are supervising or guiding the brilliant young ones to build whatever technology we are using today. So you don't get a professor going to use his hands on applications or systems to build it, but he can use his knowledge, skills, and experience to guide the young ones to do it. So let them come. Let them come. Always let them come, mentor them, and build them up. And we can see wonderful innovations going on in our universities. Right. So I will be wrapping up very soon, but I would just also share a few things we can also do apart from these 4 open solutions to also foster innovation. First one is open innovation through digital collaboration. So the fact about collaboration cannot be underestimated. People, we need to realize that we cannot be an island. We need to connect with the global world. Now, when I was talking about, teachers and students finding internships and all that, it's not all that in the country. You could go outside of the country. There are several countries in West Africa, North Africa, and so on, South Africa, and even outside the African continent. We can collaborate with people on projects we can collaborate with people on digital agenda issues, and that would really drive innovation. So just recently, I have led the sign-up of an MOU between our department and IBM, and the reason for this MOU is for our students to be engaged in IBM open projects. Yeah, and so this is a very beautiful thing that is going to ensure that all our students who are skillful in programming or who are interested in building high-level applications would now have mentorship from IBM team, into developing application. And this is what we talk about when we are referring to collaboration. Let us push ourselves in. Let us push ourselves in. Yeah, the whole challenge is on us to rise up as educators and push our students to be very creative. Because if we don't do that, our country will always be at the begging side. I'll give you an example. ChatGPT, as we were talking about, has no Afrocentric data. And when I say Afrocentric data, what I mean is that it cannot do very well talking about African content. Okay, it is biased. It doesn't have much of Afrocentric data. All right, and we do not have to wait for them to add it so that we can use it. Are you with me? Otherwise, they become the owners of the technology. You see, so we have become people who use the technology a lot, and we are not the owners of the technology. The problem with that is that we pay a lot to them. We pay a lot to them. You have to subscribe, you have to pay every year. But if we thought about giving that money upfront to invest in research, then for so many years we would not be paying to foreign companies, thereby exchanging our money into dollars, you see, and it's affecting our currency. So there is a lot of links associated to that, and that's why our economy is at this point. If you are going to get to know how much universities pay agencies abroad every year, you'll be shocked in dollars. And the things we have subscribed to and the things we are paying every year, you will be shocked. Meanwhile, these agencies abroad were birthed out of university. They are university products, people who got educated from institutions abroad. So what are we doing? We need to begin to think as universities. Let us empower our people, encourage local innovation, local solutions, and then we can change the whole narrative in the country after so many years. Maybe we may not be exactly perfect as them, but we will be able to get to a very, very good point, reducing our dependency on foreign stuffs. And for this, I always talk about a country called China. Do you know that in China, they don't use Facebook, they don't use Twitter, they don't use WhatsApp, and all the Western applications. They don't use ChatGPT. So what do? They have developed their own. So they have their own Weibo, they have their own WeChat, they have their own everything, mail system, everything. They have reduced dependencies on the West. If you're a personal person who wants to use foreign things, that's fine, but you have to use a VPN to circumvent and then use those technologies. But there is so much motivation and encouragement within the country to foster innovation within the country. So the people use their own stuff, and that saves them a lot. Because usually, using these applications all border on the lines of privacy and security. And as a cybersecurity expert, I can tell you even more about privacy. To say that, or even to say the least, in Ghana or even across the world, nobody has 100% privacy here. Okay, so even if when you sit on your WhatsApp and you say it's end-to-end encryption, please forget about it. Nobody is enjoying full privacy, okay, to some extent. We are all compromised at some level. And we need to begin to think, for purposes of security, creating our own systems and manning them and being in charge of what happens to them at any time. Okay. The last thing is that we must develop digital storytelling and media platforms. So what I mean by this is that let us encourage our students and give them the opportunity to tell us what is happening in their development cycle. Okay, so I'll give you an example like the TEDx. I don't know if you know about TEDx. Okay, so TEDx is a very good storytelling platform. And it's one of the platforms that if you stand on to give a lecture or a 5 minutes talk, you know you are worldly, you are known all over the world, right? So let us create platforms like that that encourages innovation and listens to people's story, the challenges they faced before they arrived at some solutions. In Ghana, people have built a lot of solutions. Let's hear from them, the challenges they've gone through, and be challenged with that. So I think recently in KNUST, one computer science student was elected as the lead for TEDx KNUST. And that was really impressive because now he was able to do TEDx in KNUST and ship it all abroad for people to see some of the innovations that is going on in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where I want to end by saying the challenge of transforming our education and research is not at a distant future. It's happening now. People have started doing something, and there is something that you also can start to do. And we need to challenge ourselves by going beyond the normal and going for stronger and more challenging and even scarier visions, and reach them, use the opportunities we have, and win them. And I think and believe that with God, we can achieve all of these things. We can position our country as a leader in educational innovation and research excellence. And I like the last part of your anthem that says, you will fight and what? Until. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Emmanuel Ahene, for the wonderful presentation.